Hey, everybody, welcome to the Entrepreneur Motivation Podcast. I'm your host, Chris Bello, and today I've got Ben Schneider on the show. Ben, welcome.
Welcome, Chris. Thanks for having me.
Great to have you, man. And you're based in Germany, correct?
Exactly. Near Munich.
Awesome, Munich. I've been to Oktoberfest before. It's been a few years, but I really loved it. It was a good time.
Yeah, it's awesome. So I definitely need to come back.
I need to. I mean, after all the COVID stuff calms down a little bit, I don't even know if like international travel is going on or what, but I mean, I had a great time. That's probably 2015. I learned a couple of words like Danke schön and Guten Morgen, for example, but my German's not very good. So don't test me on that. But
all good,
welcome
man.
To the show, man. Welcome. How do you say welcome in German?
Herzlich willkommen.
Wow, that was really hard. So I'm just going to say welcome and we're going to go from there. That's really funny. That's a long word. But yeah, man, welcome to the show. So who is Ben? If you want to give a quick background, like who is Ben Schneider? If you can introduce yourself to the audience so we know what you're about, your background a little bit, feel free to dive in.
Sure. Let's do this. So Ben is a serial entrepreneur from Germany. I'm the founder of Jobify.com. I help people to grow from solopreneur to entrepreneur and doing this since years. So also I have a company owning an e-commerce store, owning a digital marketing agency. As I mentioned, founder of Jobify.com, a job search platform where you can hire remote workers. We have a magazine, a high glossy magazine. It's called Jobify Magazine. I have also my podcast where you took place, the Business and Lifestyle Legends podcast. That's what I'm doing right now.
Very cool. Very cool. And how long have you been doing this for? I'm just curious to get like a timeline for those listening. I'm sure a lot of people, we talked about it, I think yesterday, a lot of people think there's an overnight success, and that's definitely not the case. I'm sure you've been, in the digital marketing space for years. So when did you start Jobify?
So yeah, definitely there is no overnight success. So I founded Jobify. So we launched it by September 2020.
Okay.
We started developing that project in May 2019, but that's only the Jobify project. So I started my career when I was like 12 years old, buying Game Boy and PlayStation bundles from eBay and sold them on eBay as well. That's where I started, but Shopify is only around 6 months old right now.
That's awesome to hear. I mean, there's so many things that entrepreneurs, they love to start things when they're younger, right? So you said you bought stuff on eBay, you bundled it, you sold it, you split apart bundles. There's all kinds of things like eBay in itself. You could have so many businesses on that platform, right?
Yeah, that was my starting point. I think it's a good starting point. So it was a little bit illegal to go on eBay and buy stuff if you're only 12 years old. But yeah, that's how it started, and made a little pocket money. And it goes very well for a short period of time. But yeah, I tried all that kind of stuff. We talked about that in the other interview. You type into Google how to make money online. And then I started selling ebooks and selling websites and running different e-commerce websites. And some stuff is working, a lot of stuff is not working. You need to be patient.
Right.
You need to be excited about what you're doing, and you need to be consistent. This is the key, I would say, definitely.
Yeah, consistency is something that so many people in today's day and age just don't have. And it makes sense, right? Our attention spans are getting shorter, like shorter than a goldfish's attention span, I think I remember hearing. And there's so many different new opportunities and ideas. And then, cryptocurrency, like everyone's looking at so many different things, and they're trying a little bit of this and a little bit of that. And I think that's why a lot of people have a hard time seeing any progress, because they just don't stick with things long enough, right?
Definitely, you're definitely right. So I think it's not the baddest or it's not the worst way to try different things. So especially if you're young, go and try something. You can try for years and until you find something maybe at 30 or 35 or anything like that. But you need to understand there is no overnight success. So you can try something, but if you're not willing to grind, if you're not willing to put in the work for months, for years, there is a reason why it might not work for you. So you can try different things and you learn from them. that's also what I did. I tried a lot of stuff as mentioned, but every project I tried leads me to another project, and it gives me new insights and new knowledge about it. And that's also what leads me to Jobify.com. So I was working with remote workers, for example, 40 years. But working with them for years, I realized, hey, other platforms are missing on that point. Other platforms are not good in this. And then I created my own. So it's not that I was waking up some morning and said, hey, I need to create a new job search platform. The world was waiting for it. It's not like that. It's you work on something, you learn from it, and then you try to improve. It's also with the e-commerce store. You're selling some stuff, and then you find a new way or a better niche than the other ones, and then you go for that. But you have a lot of knowledge because of your previous e-commerce websites you were running. And this is very important to understand. So definitely there is no overnight success, and the first project will never be a last project. And what you mentioned, Chris, you need to be consistent. This is the overall key. You need to be consistent. You cannot start a YouTube channel. You know what? When I was starting my YouTube channel in Germany, I wanted to have, my big goal was to have 10,000 subscribers in the first year. Guess how many I had after 12 months?
500?
Around 780 or something like that.
Because I know it takes a lot of time, and I've met a lot of people who have struggled to break past 1,000, but it gets faster, right? It compounds. It's like a snowball rolling down a mountain.
Yeah, exactly. It depends on the algorithm. So there could be a step backward, but yeah. basically you're right. But that's just what I wanted to show to the audience. I wanted to have 10,000, and I thought this is realistic because I saw all that guys, Gary V's and the Grant Cardones and all that guys out there. They nailed it, but you will not. So there is a high potential that you will not nail it in the first 12 months. So maybe you do it after 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. Maybe you're awesome in 5 years, but maybe not after 12 months. And this is what you need to understand.
Definitely. One thing that you mentioned there is that it's okay to pivot and try new things. And one story that comes to mind, I think I remember hearing the story of Slack, and I think they were supposed to be creating a video game or something. I can't remember the exact story, but they developed an internal tool, which was Slack, to communicate with the team. And they ended up pivoting from whatever they were working on to Slack, which everyone knows, like most people listening to this might even have used it at some point, to communicate with their different teams on threads. And that's an example of an idea that came to them because they had this problem that they were dealing with. Just like you said, you had just hired people remotely for years, and you never really immediately thought, I should create a platform to do that. It was only after you learned and you tried new things that started leading you down that path to create your own site that offers those types of services, right?
To be honest, if I hear that stories, like I have created that product only for myself, and then I realized it's that awesome and people wanted to know about it.
You're like, yeah, right.
Then I was making a business out of come on, man. I do not really believe that story. So yeah, it
makes
could be the
PR,
truth.
I guess. I like it. Sounds good.
yeah, but it sounds good. But this is, in my view, mostly not the case. So if you develop something, so on Shopify, we are a team of around 20 people. This is not what you're doing for yourself. This is for sure. There is always one money earning reason about this too. So for sure, right. you wanna interrupt the market. You wanna create a better solution for the people out there. You wanna help for sure, but you also want to earn money with that. And this, I've created that only by myself, and then I realized it's that awesome. Come on, man. I don't believe it, but I'm a real talk guy, so I'm not that kind of person who is telling the audience only what they want to hear.
I love that. And I mean, I always tell people too, I'm like, this sounds like a great story. I want to believe it. I don't know if it's 100% true, because even when we do stories on other people's podcasts, like if I tell you my story of how much money I'm making or how my life is so amazing, is how do you really know? There's so much. I think we might have mentioned this as well, or I was talking about it in the Clubhouse room. there's so much smoke and mirrors now. Like you can rent a jet, you can rent a Lambo. You don't know who's actually making money anymore. And it gets harder to see who's genuine, who's actually serious about what they're doing. And so thank you for pointing that out, because yeah, I mean, we can't just assume that based on one interview or conversation that is fact. There's a lot more to the story than meets the eye at times. So I'm glad you pointed that out.
Sure. And about that Lamborghinis and the Rolex and all that kind of stuff, I think this is to gain attraction. This is not to sell you anything, because you should not buy something from me because I'm wearing a Rolex or having a Mercedes or a Lambo or anything like that in the garage. This is not what it's about. It's maybe a tool to attract people, but then you need to provide value. Right. So if you have an audience that will buy from you stuff only because you have or you're showing that luxury things, this is not a good audience, and then you have not a good business. So you should sell by providing value and not by showing some stuff. So definitely we are in the social media world, and you can do that if you want to. And for some audiences, this might work. So for my audiences, I had most of the time to deal with real entrepreneurs. And I mean by that, no wannabe entrepreneurs. No, I want to start a business. Not the type of person who is actually Googling how to make money online. I deal with people who are already in the business, who are making 10, 50, 100, a million, 7 figures in a month. These are the audience I deal with, or these are the clients I deal with. And if I show them a Rolex or a car, this is nothing special for them, because everybody of my clients could buy this stuff too if they want, or most of them have all that kind of stuff. So you do not impress them. So you need to provide value if you want this audience stick to your channel.
Right. No, that's powerful. Whenever you have your clients that already are used to that, just like you said, I mean, that's just like the basic stuff they're used to. To someone who doesn't own those things, it may seem flashy and shiny and like, wow, how do they have it? But once you start to associate with those people, which I think also it shows how important it is to level up your circle when you get in a mastermind or surround yourself with people who are just used to it. Your entire way of feeling about those things changes, because now you're starting to get used to being surrounded with wealth and success and abundance, right? Instead of scarcity and lack and negativity, or people thinking, oh, I hope I get lucky and win the lottery to get that one day, instead of the successful people who are like, I will own that one day, or, oh, look, I bought my first Lamborghini, right? I can afford it with the business that I built and created. How important do you think that is, just to surround yourself with the right people? Are you very big on like the Jim Rohn quote of having the 5 people around you be at that level as well, or higher?
Definitely. Surrounding yourself with the right people is one of the most important thing you could have, because so there is that phrase, if you are the smartest person in the room, you are in the wrong room. Leave it immediately. Right. And that's 100% true, because you don't have to impress people. You have to learn from people, and you have to listen, not tell people how good you are. Listen to people, how good they are. That's the only way you could learn something from them. And it's funny that you mentioned that, because when I was a little bit younger, so 2, 3, 4 years ago, I was like, hey, I need that awesome house. I need that watch. I need that car. Then my YouTube will explode. Then my business will explode. I can tell you, Chris, today I have all this. I'm not wearing it right now doing this video interview. I haven't shown my house on the socials yet. I'm not showing anything from my family. I don't show that stuff anymore. But a few years ago, I thought I need all that stuff. I need to show that to people. They need to see how awesome I am.
Right.
But that's not the case. That's really not the case. You don't need to show anybody how awesome you are by showing luxury things. You need to impress them by your knowledge.
Yes. I love what you said there, because I mean, that kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier, of just the stuff you never really know who's authentic until you hear them speaking, or adding value about a topic that they actually know about. And another joke you hear about, like, everyone used to make fun of nerds and stuff in high school, and now they're working for them, right? Because those are the people who went on to, like, Bill Gates and like Warren Buffett and all these people. They went on to build amazing businesses and like empires, right? And it's funny how the tables turn, because a lot of the kids that were cool in school, like the athletes that were, good looking, everything changes almost 5-10 years later, where it's like, oh my gosh, they're struggling to find a job just like everyone else. And how do they add value? So it goes to show that what's in your brain and what you're able to add into the world in terms of value, that matters so much more than we really understand until we get to this level, that we're at, in terms of understanding, like, wow, there is more than just trying to look good and have a nice flashy car. Like, what have you learned and what can you teach? I think that's
exactly,
a huge takeaway.
Yeah, exactly, man. And it's about the attitude. If you are willing to put in the work, then you got to be successful. So if you are, I always mention that in podcast interviews when I be interviewed, if you are home alone, having no friends, not going out to partying or anything like that, sitting in front of your computer all day, all night, doing some development things, trying to start a business, hustling all the time, learning from people on YouTube or anything like that, you are okay. It's not you that is not good or is something weird from my side, because I'm that weird person. and I tell you how it's called. It's not your fault. It's about the other's fault. It's about the society's fault, because you are an entrepreneur and the others are the society that will work for the entrepreneurs, the society that will spend money on dumb shit. You are investing your money some days.
Right.
You're going to buy a house. You're going to buy a stock on the stock market. You are investing in startups. You're investing in your own company and Facebook ads, Google ads to build up your brand and all that kind of stuff. It's not your fault if you have no friends, if you are only doing the entrepreneurial stuff. It's the fault about the society. And this is what young people need to realize, because it was the same in my case. And also what you mentioned about the mindset, the suits and all that kind of stuff, what you're wearing, what you're looking like. So you shouldn't look like crap, definitely. But a few years ago, I was wearing suits and was looking good and high quality.
Yeah.
But today I wear T-shirts, I wear hoodies, and I earn more money than ever. So It's not about, if you're doing an internet business, so there are maybe some niches out there, some branches, it's different. But if you're an online entrepreneur working online, doing podcasts, having a website, selling e-commerce stuff, some stuff like that, it's not about what you're looking like. It's about your action, how you execute. You need to take action at this every day. It's funny. I was talking today to Vegas Dave. Not sure if you know that guy. Incredible, successful with sports betting. More than 3 million people is his following on Instagram, and this guy doesn't care about anything. He's doing sports betting, and he's wearing a T-shirt as well. All successful guys I'm interviewing for the Business and Lifestyle Lectures podcast were wearing T-shirts or hoodies. No one came up with a suit for the podcast interview. Right. So that's what you mentioned. Times has changed.
They have.
It's about the execution. Also, Dave told me he wakes up at 4 a.m. in the morning. He's working 16 hours a day. This guy earns hundreds of millions a year. And he's put in the work. He's grinding every day. To be honest, I'm not waking up at 4 a.m. in the morning. This is way too early. But I do at 6 a.m.
Me too.
and also now it's 9:30 and we're recording this podcast interview.
Right.
You need to put in the work. You will not build a big business if you wake up at 10 a.m. and stop working at 4 p.m. This is not how it works.
you definitely have to put in the work. I mean, of course, there are the lifestyle businesses, right? I think we're all trying to get the ability to have the freedom. Like me personally, we love the work, right? I'm sure you love what you do. There may be some pieces that you don't love to do, but you may delegate those or, push past them because you see the bigger picture. And we have the ability to have the freedom that we want. But if we have free time, we probably still spend it on our business because that is what we love to do. Like if I'm bored and I don't know what to do, I work on my business or I jump in a clubhouse room to learn something. I don't just watch like a movie and fill up the time with that because that's not interesting to me. And what you said there, I love that for anyone listening where you think something's wrong with you because on Friday or Saturday night, you don't want to go out, you want to work on your business. I wish I got there sooner because I can admit that I wasted so much time. Like in high school, I think I would feel like a loser if I didn't have plans, if I wasn't going out to go to a party or something on Friday or Saturday night. I would feel like I had no friends and like, oh my gosh, I'm missing out on something. And then, of course, you have a hangover the next day. You don't feel good and you don't go to the gym and then just your whole schedule's thrown off. And now it feels amazing. Like Friday night, I don't mind reading at 9 p.m. and I fall asleep at 10 p.m. And then, oh, look, I'm up at 7 a.m. on Saturday, right? And you feel better, you're energized, you're drinking a gallon of water a day, like all these different things. So I love what you mentioned there for anyone who feels like, oh, what's wrong with me? It's not anything wrong with you. It's just that society doesn't have the right priorities. And that's why there's all those problems with debt and working in jobs you hate and mental health issues, right? Like suicides going up. People are not happy in general. So how do you focus on your passions and like, how did you know that this was what you wanted to do? Like, was there a certain point where you're like, this is what makes me happy. This is where I want to throw all my energy?
I knew I was going to be an entrepreneur since I'm a kid. So
since you were 12 doing eBay stuff, right?
Yeah. Really, man. We were sitting in school and writing applications for shitty jobs. And I was like, hey, why should I do that?
It doesn't make sense.
I don't need that job. I'm going to be an entrepreneur. So I'm going to be rich. When I was at 6th, 7th, 8th grade, I knew I was going to be rich. So for sure, I didn't have a plan for this. but deep inside, I knew this will happen. And I'm going to put in the work since 15 years or 17 years. So there was not a real point, not a real tipping or turning point where this click happens and then I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I knew it from the bottom of my heart that there is no other option. So, but I need to tell you, I was not always an entrepreneur in my life. I had a job, a 9-to-5 job. I worked there. I hated it. But at the same time, I built my e-commerce store. So guys, let me think from around 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. I worked in my day job, in my full-time job. I was earning there around $1,700 a month, full-time in net. So then I drove home 1 hour for the gym. And then I was working on my business until 1 a.m. in the morning. And this on a daily routine. And Saturday and Sunday, I put in more work to my own business. So I was able to build up my e-commerce store. And then it took me around 2 years until I earned more with my e-commerce store than on my daily job. And then I was quitting the day job. And was running the e-commerce business, started the coaching business, my agency, and all that environment, all that companies surrounding me. Yeah, and that was working good for me, but it was no luck. So definitely there was no luck. I just put in the work and it worked out. So I'm glad that it worked out, but definitely that's how it is. And what you mentioned, if you don't want to do something, you can delegate it. When I was starting all that kind of stuff, I did all by myself. I was a real solopreneur. So that's why my coaching is called From Solopreneur to Entrepreneur, because that was exactly the same way I went through. So I was starting like a solopreneur. I wanted to save money and on every task I could.
You did everything yourself, right?
Everything. I didn't outsource anything. I did all the banners. I did the logo by myself. I did all the designs, all writings, all pictures. I built the store by myself. Yeah. Everything you can imagine. But to look back now, it was dumb. It was so dumb to do that because the quality was bad. I lost a lot of time. I hated it sometimes. You hate to do stuff you can't do. So I'm not a designer.
Like making a logo if you've never made a logo before, word art. I was just thinking of like Microsoft Paint back in the day.
Exactly. And today you could do that. You can go on our marketplace, the Jobify marketplace, or on other platforms, and hire someone for $10, and you get a great logo.
Yeah.
So, definitely. So if you want to start something, or you already have a business and there are stuff you don't want to do, outsource it. Get a designer for your team, either a freelancer for one-time jobs, or get a part-time designer or full-time designer, or a VA or a writer, developer, WordPress expert. You can get all these types of people for very affordable money, because the key is not to hire someone from your country, because this would be way too expensive. I couldn't afford that by myself this days. But if you hire someone from the overseas, from India, Bangladesh, Pakistan, Philippines, then you have an awesome quality in your company. So for example, if you go and hire a full-time designer for the Philippines, that costs you around $400 a month. And you have a designer in your team who's working 8 hours a day only for your company, only doing designs, your social media designs, your product designs, your anything.
Yeah.
So this will step up your company that much, and for a very affordable price.
That makes so much sense, because you're right. I mean, like, I'm based in the US, and if I were to pay someone, if anyone wanted to do any of that kind of work for me, graphic designers, especially if they're really good, they can charge a lot of money, versus if I just outsource it. I have a couple of VAs from the Philippines right now, and they do, like you said, great job, way better than I could do, faster. They're hardworking. Their English is great. I can communicate easily with them. And it just makes so much sense for me to have someone who edits my podcast, someone who makes the thumbnail for my YouTube video, and then someone else actually helps me, as my podcast manager, to make sure my schedule's not too crazy. And that all started because I used to, just like you said you did, I did everything on my own. And it's so time consuming when you're creating your own logos, making your own thumbnails, editing your own podcast episodes, on top of trying to do like your full-time business or job. It's very overwhelming. And also, thank you for sharing that you had the job, because I would give that advice now too to anyone listening, is build up your business on the side if you can, and just have that work ethic to work all day and then come back and work on your own business, and then spend the weekend doing that as well. It's less stressful, I would imagine, than trying to make it work when you're not making money, right? Because then you kind of get backed into the corner. I quit my job cold turkey, and I kind of regretted it because I thought that I needed to put my back against the wall. But after 8 months of not really making any good money, it became a little stressful, and I couldn't focus on what are the big picture things, right? Because I was worried about, like, how am I going to pay my house bill next month, because I don't really have any money, right? So would you give that advice too, for people to just build up their business on the side until it either surpasses or matches what they're making in their day job? Because that seems like what you did, right?
100%. Everybody should do that.
Awesome.
There are people out there who tell you need to focus 100% on one project, and that's okay. But the problem is, if you don't have savings, if you don't have a lot of money, you might struggle. So because it's not the case that you start something and it's working out. That's not the case most of the time.
Most of the time. Maybe it happens sometimes, but usually 98% of the time, probably not.
Yeah. So you're investing every month, and you haven't got any sales, or maybe a little bit, but you're not in the profit yet. So this will not bring you money. So you need to have a source of income. to pay your expenses, to pay your rent, to pay your bills, and all that kind of stuff. So, and there is enough time. So if you have a full-time job, you have around let's say 9 or 10 hours of the day are gone, but you have another 8 hours left, or 5, 6, 7 hours left. Go for it and hustle and grind and execute, because it's your life. I'm totally okay with people who are in a full-time job and they are okay with that and earning their $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 a month. 100% good if you are fine with it. But I have a problem with people who are complaining about that. Oh, I have a shitty job. I can't go for the entrepreneurship. I don't have any money. I want to buy that Lamborghini, but I cannot afford it.
And they're not doing anything.
And they're not doing anything. Exactly, Chris.
That pisses me off, man. Yeah, for sure.
I have a problem with these guys because they are lazy. Yeah. They are just lazy. Nobody, not you, not me, not anybody, got a present from Santa. Here is your business. We all build it from scratch. Every channel out there, every YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, or any channel out there was started with 0 followers, right?
Right.
So you need to put in the work, you need to grind, you need to publish content, you need to do advertisement, you need to tell people about your product. This is exactly what we are doing here. We are creating a podcast. We are telling people about our person, our products. We help people to be better in their lives, to improve their businesses. This is exactly what we are doing every day. The difference between you, while you're listening right now, maybe, and us is, or could be, that you are listening and not creating. And you need to start creating.
Definitely. There's a piece of advice that I've heard and that I've shared on my podcast before as well, is that the general rule of thumb is that you should produce more than you consume. It is helpful. Like, I love to listen to podcasts. I just listened to an audiobook on my drive here to the office. But the thing is, we're producing right now. You and I are recording, right? So for everyone who's listening to this right now, if you've listened to all our podcasts, that's awesome. Thank you so much. Please leave us 5-star review too. But make sure you are going out into the world, creating your own content, maybe starting a podcast if that makes sense. If you don't like that, if you don't want to be on camera or speaking, maybe do that blog post that you've been wanting to do and stay consistent, which we talked about earlier today as well. Very, very good advice, because you have to produce more than you consume. Otherwise, no one knows who you are. They won't know your message, what your company does, what services you offer. And that's very important for you to be able to attain success and grow a company.
Let me give you guys another tip, another piece of advice. So we are recording this podcast right now. We are recording the audio, the video. If you guys are doing that, you can recycle this piece of content. So out of this podcast interview, which lasts for maybe 30, 40, 50 an hour, minutes or an hour, you could give it to your videograph or your social media manager, and they could take pieces out of it, creating quote pictures, short videos, a podcast episode, something special for a WhatsApp group or for a Facebook group, something like this, creating a blog post out of it. You need to try to make it very easy for you to publish as much as possible content with as less as possible time to put in. So definitely you need, I just can advise you this. You should have a social media manager and a videograph and a designer in your team. So basically, if you don't have that much money, a designer also, a videograph could also design most of the times. But you definitely should have a social media manager and a videograph to put out content, because today you need to put out a lot of content. It's not enough if you put out once a week a piece of content. You need to post
4 times a day.
2 or 3 times a day, depending on the platform.
Right.
But this is very important. So you should, what you mentioned, put up more content that you're listening to or that you're consuming. But you also need to try that you're doing the content recycling to use one big piece of content and slice it into a lot of tiny contents.
Yeah, I love that because so many people, it seems overwhelming if you think about how the heck am I supposed to post 2 to 3 times or 4 times a day. I think I heard Brendan Burchard on Experts Academy. I did that online course. And I think he said he posted 4 times a day. And he's like, how do you do that? You repurpose your content, right? So just like you said, we're sitting here, we're investing this time, 30, 40, 50 minutes, maybe an hour. And we're able to chop this up into 3 little snippets and maybe make a little picture meme with a quote that you talked about and put it on Instagram and optimize it for LinkedIn and put it on the platform natively instead of just sharing the YouTube link on all of them. Maybe just upload the direct video in different snippets because the engagement's higher. Platforms like when you upload native video instead of directing people away from their platforms, right? I mean, you know this, I'm just explaining it to the audience. And so very, very good advice there. And I mean, honestly, I need to find a social media manager for myself because a lot of the times I have people editing it for me, but I'm uploading videos and I'm typing out captions and they're not always the best, fanciest looking thing. So I'm definitely going to write that down. Thank you so much for that tip.
Awesome. You're welcome. So Chris, you could choose if you want to go for the hiring service on Shopify.com or you want to do it by yourself.
Yeah. I don't want to do it all by myself. That's for sure. Very helpful, man. So I know we've been talking probably about 40 minutes here, so I want to be respectful of your time, but I know we also wanted to talk more about like the remote help, like how to find and hire your remote workers. So you would probably say, just based on what we just talked about, that social media, videographer, designer, those are some of the core people that you need regardless of your business, right? Just for that social media omnipresence. Would you say that's probably some of the most important hires?
Yeah, definitely. So my sentence I tell everybody is there is no reason for a company in 2021 not for having a designer because it is a social media game out there and you need to have awesome designs. And the designer is one of the most affordable positions you could hire. And in addition to that, it's completely risk-free. Because if you hire a developer, you need to give him credentials, you need to give him the source code of your website, and he could take it down maybe. We are all humans, and there are black sheeps in there. So, but if you hire a designer, there is no problem. A designer does not need any credentials for you, not any logins. You see what you get because you see the design he's doing. So if you hire a developer and if you don't know,
no idea, right?
This guy can code for 4 weeks and tell you, it will take another 4 weeks and you don't know what it's about. But if you need a design, you can tell them, hey, we need a design for our Instagram or TikTok or anything like that. And 2 hours later, you will get a design. And then you see if it's good or if it's bad, or then you can improve or hire another guy. So a designer is a very good position to start hiring someone remote. That's what I highly recommend. And how you're going to do that? So it would be great if you're doing it on Jobify.com because it's very easy there. But definitely what you should have an eye on is that you only hire verified people. So because I got scammed myself by a developer who was not verified. It was hired on another popular platform. But this guy was not verified. And I didn't know that because I don't know. I hired him and have not watched about some seals or some verification badges or anything like that. That's, by the way, one reason I founded Shopify.com. And on Shopify.com, everybody is verified because this is required. Nobody can apply to your job post on Shopify.com if he or she is not verified. Cool. Because I don't want you to be scammed. The system, hiring someone from the overseas is awesome, but you need to be secure as a company, as an entrepreneur, as an employer. You need to be secure, and this is very important to me because I don't want the people to get scammed on my platform.
Right.
So you make a job post. It's very easy on Shopify. It's just one page with all necessary details, and be as clear as possible. If you want to hire someone, do not look for the all-in-one solution or for the one-fits-all solution. Be as clear as possible in what you're looking for. Then you will get a lot of applications. Then you review that application. We built Jobify.com like that everybody has the same profile. What do I mean by that? If you go for other platforms and you get tons of applications, and some of them are sending you links to Google Drive, some of them sending you Behance links, some of you sending you a PDF document with their CV. It's crazy. And if you only get 2 or 3 applications, it's no problem. But if you get 20, 30, 50 applications, it's a big problem. So on Jobify.com, the profile is your CV. The profile is your portfolio. All is there. And in addition to that, it's only for verified people, so that you as an employer only watch the profiles on Shopify, no additional stuff, no PDF documents, no links, no additional portfolios. All you need to review is on Shopify.com on their talents profile. So you review that profiles, and then you go for an appointment. With the one you're interested in, you go for an appointment and make a video interview. Always do a video interview.
These are very good tips.
I never hire someone who is not willing to do a video interview. Today I got someone who mentioned, hey, couldn't we do the interview by chat? And I was like,
nope.
Really, man? Are you serious? You want to be part of my team? You want to be in the inner circle of mine? You want to part of my second family? And I should hire you without seeing you? No, man.
With the text message, I don't know about that.
All the best for you, but I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
And I recommend you guys to only hire people you're seeing. You're having a good relationship to them. So then, if you have done the video interview, the next step would be, if possible, so for the designer it's easily possible, do a test task. Let them do a test task. So a tiny, not building a landing page or anything like that. A tiny task is just a Facebook banner. You give them a picture of you or your product. You give them a call to action. You tell them the colors. You send them the logo and your website, how it should look like because of the CI, the branding. A good designer should have a view for this. And then you do a test task. If it's a bigger test task, like maybe with a social media manager, this guy needs to post, so this is not easily testable in a short period of time, you could do a paid test week, for example.
Right.
And then you go for one. You hire someone and do not pay upfront, by the way. So.
Yeah. You never pay upfront for services, right? Or at least in most cases, unless you're charging maybe like a high ticket course. I've heard stuff on, ClickFunnels and things like that, groups like that, where they're like, never do work up front. It's always a give and take, right? The contractor or the person providing the service wants to get paid up front, but the person getting it doesn't want to pay until the end. So maybe meet in the middle, because I'm in real estate and it's the same thing. Like I wouldn't give you $20,000 to fix the house until I know what you're doing, and I want to give you stipends as we go to make sure the work's getting done correctly, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I pay my team one time a month by the end of the month. But if you hire someone new, and also these guys have made bad experiences, they also did work and didn't get paid for it or anything like that. So I offer the people, hey, for the first month, I offer you to pay you weekly or bi-weekly. But after the first month, I pay you by the end of the month one time because of the accounting. If you have 20, 30, 50, hundreds of people, you cannot pay them weekly. Sure you can, but this is not necessary. And this is too much workload for the accounting. Yeah. And then you go with that people. And if you have hired someone, you need to give him some time, because you need to understand this is no robot who is, getting the task from you and doing all that stuff. Mm-hmm. This is a human. This is a new team member. This is a new family member. But this new family member needs to understand how your family is ticking, how it's working in your company. What do you want to have the designs look like.
Yeah. They can't read your mind. That's definitely true.
Yeah,
they have to take some time to adapt.
Exactly. If you would hire someone for in office, this guy would also need some time. So there's nothing changed here. So give him a few weeks, a month or so to understand what you want to have. This is a really important advice. And in addition to that, be as clear as possible in your instructions. Do not tell them I need a Facebook banner. Tell them I need a Facebook banner for the audience. The audience is 23 years until 40 years old, mostly women, blah, blah, blah. Tell them about the audience. Tell them about the goal. We want to gain some followers with that post. We want to make some sales with that post. We want to lead them into the funnel with that. We want to only provide value with that. The guy who is creating this needs to understand for which purpose he is creating it. That's, by the way, in my view, one of the most common reason why people fail working with remote workers, because they tell them, hey, we need a banner for Facebook. And the remote worker, because it's Asian culture, he will accept that. He will say, okay, I will do that. But he has no idea what to do.
And then it doesn't look like what you were expecting because you didn't tell them what you were really looking for, right?
Exactly. And then you're mad about it. And then you tell them,
and you fire them.
Is bad. Yeah. If someone is bad in your company, it's not his fault. It's yours. Yes. Either your instructions are bad, you have not told him exactly what you want to have, or you have hired the wrong guy.
That's so true.
If they meet not your expectations, it's not their fault, it's yours. You need a failure on hiring or on telling them what you need.
Yeah, that advice there, I wanted to just dive in on a little more. I mean, be very, very clear. You have to know and tell them. They don't, like I mentioned earlier, they can't read your mind. And that was the problem that I had when I initially hired some virtual assistants, is that I kind of told them, like, I don't know, edit it, or do this, like, give me something that, give me a Facebook cover or a photo. And like you said, they didn't know the audience. They didn't know what colors that I wanted to use, what font, like what's the look that I'm going for. And so if you're more clear, they'll deliver the product that you actually want. So very good advice. I've been jotting some notes down because I have made a few hires, and many people in the audience might have had their first VA, or maybe they're looking to hire their first VA. So very, very good tips in terms of being clear, doing a video interview, assigning test tasks. I'm just reading off some of the things that I wrote here. Pay at the end of the month. I do that as well. And also give them time to understand and to become part of your family and understand like how you operate, instead of just firing them after the first attempt at doing a test task.
Exactly. And Chris, if some of your audience have some questions about it, you guys can reach me every time and tell me your questions. We are happy to help. Also, I recorded a free video course. It's free for all verified people on Jobify.com for entrepreneurs, where I tell you exactly that steps, how to hire, how to work with these guys when you have hired them. And the good thing by hiring a remote worker is that there is not a real contract. Like if you hire someone from your company, if they don't meet your expectations, you can fire them and get another one.
Right.
So you should try not to do that too often, because it's a cultural thing, and these guys are all human. So to only hire if you're sure that guy will fit into your team. But just saying, you're not married with these guys. If someone is not good for your company, haven't met your expectations, fire him and get a new one.
I love that, because a lot of people are afraid. It seems like commitment and, oh my gosh, I'm going to have this fixed expense. But no, that's not the case. Like if the budget changes or you're not seeing a return on investment within a couple of months or something, you can always just part ways amicably. Hopefully, if it's like a good relationship, just say, hey, honestly, I'm sorry, I hired you prematurely. I don't really have enough work, or maybe our volume's gone down. Like if you hired someone and then COVID happened and your business got cut in half, like maybe they'll understand, but have them and have that conversation, let them know, hey, I made the mistake because I hired you without being clear on what I want. And so very, very good tips, man. Where can our audience go to learn more about you, to learn more about Jobify? I'll put all the links in the show notes, but can they find that course that you talked about? You said that's on Jobify itself?
Yeah, it's on jobmofy.com, like jobmofy.com, jobmofy.com. You can get an account for free, verify your profile, and then you have access to the course in your dashboard. If you want to learn more about me, you can follow me on the socials. Ben Schneider 87 is my Instagram, or the website is benschneider.biz, B-I-Z.
Awesome. I will link all that in the show notes. Like I mentioned, thank you so much. It was great having you on, Ben, and great being on your show as well. Any last parting words or value that you'd like to drop before I let you go here today?
So definitely, Chris, thanks for having me. And you guys need to put in the work. This is really the most important advice I could give to you. You need to put in the work no matter where you are. And you should hire someone for your team because it will bring a lot of value to your company, and it's very affordable.
Definitely. Well, thank you once again, Ben. I appreciate your time today.
Thanks, Matt.